Hi there. So good day everyone. So as promised, this will be the first of the series of video that I will be making based on the book of Timothy Keller, The Reason for God, Belief in the Age of Skepticism. So this afternoon we will look into the question, how could a good God allow suffering in this world? So indeed, we cannot deny the fact that suffering and evil exist in this world. Now, many people, especially those who belong in the new generation, the millennials or the Generation Z, would say that they cannot believe that God exists, or they do not believe that God exists because evil and suffering exist in this world. Indeed, this question has been a very controversial question in ages past and even until today. Now, in order for us to answer this question, how could a good God allow suffering in this world? It is very important to understand your worldview, because your worldview will dictate your understanding of everything that is happening around you. Now, again, their argument is a good and an all powerful God cannot exist, because if he does exist, evil and suffering could not exist. Or a good God exists, but he is not all powerful because he cannot stop evil and suffering. Or a an all-powerful God exists, but he is not good because he did not stop evil and suffering in this world. But the reality of evil, the existence of evil, the existence of suffering does not negate the existence of God. If you say that this world is full of injustices, this world is full of evil, this world is full of suffering, what is your standard of saying that evil exists? What is your standard in saying that injustices exist? So, according to C.S. Lewis, a Christian apologist, if you have this kind of argument that evil exists, therefore God does not exist, then this will fail. Why? Because if you believe that there are injustices and there is evil in this world, you have to assume a worldview that is above all of us. How could you say that something is evil if there is nothing that is good? You can only say that something is evil, something is bad, if you have something to compare it with. Therefore, there should be something that is good, and that something that is good is not within us. You cannot see this. You cannot see that in us. It should be something or someone higher than our own selves. So the existence of evil itself proves that there is someone who is not evil but who is good that exists. And of course, humans are not good basically when you look at the scriptures. Okay? Now the concept of evil depends on the concept of good, and the concept of good depends on the concept of God. Take note, again, I will repeat it. The concept of evil depends on the concept of good, and the concept of good depends on the concept of an all powerful creator. So, you say, hindi ginagyapon. I can still believe that God exists because there is evil, there is suffering in this world. If you will look into different stories of different people, they have experienced suffering, they have experienced evil in their lives, and because of these experiences, this gave them a lot of realizations. Example, in the Bible, in the story of Joseph, he was sold by his brothers. He went to Egypt, became a slave, but later on he became a prime minister. It's evil. According to Joseph, you meant it for evil, but take note, God meant it for good. Because Joseph suffered evil, because Joseph experienced suffering. Later on, he became the prime minister of, of Egypt. And because he's the prime minister of Egypt, when the famine came, he saved his family and even Israel itself. So that's what suffering can do in the life of a person. So when you look at Jesus and the different Christian martyrs, there are Christian martyrs who died happily. They died happily in the service of their king. But when you look at the Bible, why is it that when Jesus approached his death, he's very sad? He's very, he experienced deep sadness. Because, number one, take note, in the beginning, God or Jesus and God the Father has an intimate relationship. And during those suffering times of Jesus, during the death of Jesus Christ, when he cried out, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? It means God forsook Jesus Christ. Imagine that. Their relationship was broken because of the sins of the world. Jesus suffered. Jesus suffered heavily because the intimate relationship of Jesus during that time was broken. He was forsaken. He suffered. So we cannot say that God doesn't understand. God doesn't understand. But he understands because he himself experienced evil. He himself experienced suffering. He himself experienced injustice. He died. He suffered. He died for our sins. And of course, in order for him to understand what we are going through as human beings. Now, Jesus did not just die. He suffered. Or Jesus didn't just suffer, but he died. He died. He died for our redemption. It took the world's most spectacular sin to redeem us from our sin. Imagine an innocent man dying for the sins of the whole world. It's the most spectacular sin. It's the most spectacular injustice that has happened in the world. Jesus experienced that. And we have no right to question him. He has all the reasons behind the sufferings of this world. He has all the reasons behind evil in this world. I know this question for most of you is not a philosophical one. Yes, there can be someone who will claim that this question is a philosophical one. But for most of us, this question, this problem of evil, this problem of suffering is a personal one. Why did I say that it's a personal one? You may be suffering from a disease and feel God is not hearing you. There's someone in your family who is suffering. You may feel that life is unfair. That's why this question is more personal to most of us. But take note, only Christianity is the worldview that offers hope. And what is this hope? Take note, Jesus suffered, Jesus died. But it didn't stop there. He was risen from the grave. And this is our hope. Only Christianity offers this hope. that despite the suffering, despite the evil, despite the injustices of this world, someday everything will be changed because Jesus is alive. Coronavirus is happening. Another pandemic maybe is coming. But take note, there is hope because Jesus is alive. How could he allow this suffering, this evil? Or how could a good God allow suffering and evil to happen in this world? We have no right to question. Because in the first place, he himself experienced it. And what we need to do is to trust him, put our hope in him, that someday he will come again and he is sovereign over all things. And I hope this first session has been a blessing to all of you. And if you have questions, please feel free to send me a message. Please feel free to comment down below. And I pray that may God bless you and keep you. And see you in the next video in this series through the book of Timothy Keller, The Reason for God. To God be the glory.